So the increasing population in Singapore is definitely one of the factors that insurance agents or financial consultants have to bear in mind, especially when progressing in the business. So oftentimes I do find that there are quite a few agency leaders or even like to-be agency leaders who tend to get quite dissuaded in terms of why they should be recruiting in the future or whether or not the business will be sustainable, because they don't inherently believe that there will be enough clients to go around, even if, let's say, they were reasonably competitive. I think that's quite interesting because while it is true that you have to exclude the majority of the clients which are under 18 and over 75, and maybe you exclude certain categories such as S-Pass holders, normally those are so-called generally either less desirable or hard to get, which means that it's not impossible to insure someone over 75. It's definitely not impossible to have someone's insurance purchase for a child under 18, but on the whole it's certainly a couple of extra steps, and usually don't expect too many premiums for that kind of case. Like it's something that people need to bear in mind, that it is still a very, very open industry in relation to being able to take advantage of said growing population, because every year you have people which are turning 18 in relation to purchasing new insurance. You have people which are turning 30 in relation to purchasing opening cases, like for example your CareShield Life upgrade, and of course you have people who are looking at retiring every year. Some of the strengths of this trend are obviously that you have a population that is particularly large, and the median income of Singaporeans is usually a lot higher than that of a global population, which means that there may not be a lot of need for you to consider overseas markets until a much greater part of your career. I would say, like, frankly, if you don't have 30 or 50 people and you don't have ties with the Southeast Asian areas of the countries like Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, probably you don't need to even consider an overseas market until that particular point. And that's because the growth of the population will continue to scale with the growth of your business when it comes to recruitment, management, and even for your own personal sales. Yeah. One of the weaknesses of that obviously is that generally it's a saturated market. So like I mentioned, even if you account for the fact that we have a planned growing population as well, which means that not only do we have a population that's growing, but it's been growing intentionally, as set by the government law for the most part, you do have a lot of people that fall out of the desirable categories, right? So you have a lot of people who aren't even eligible for insurance, you have people under an age, over an age, so on and so forth, or they just may not have a lot of income. So it can be very, very extremely competitive. It has always been pretty competitive in the consultancy field. There are very clear opportunities because, frankly speaking, part of the reason for this growing population, a good chunk of it is because we are consistently hiring, I would say, for lack of a better word, foreign talent. And it used to be the case that we would take pretty much, I would say, foreign work compared to foreign talent, but the majority of the criteria where we've been taking in Singaporeans and PRs and EPs, for example, all those criteria have become a lot more stringent, which means that while it is not only would you find a larger population of Singaporeans, which would make them more eligible for specific types of cases, but you also find that many of them were brought in specifically to entice them to become Singaporeans, or they happen to have particularly high income because the government sets those income conditions. So one of the more clear opportunities in relation to the growing population is that most people do take advantage of certain situations where they're looking at, for example, immigration conversion. One of the areas which a lot of consultants do is they partner up with immigration agencies to go and see if they can be able to co-broke a deal where people which are looking for PR or for citizenship may want to purchase financial plans, because it is actually noted under the list of criteria that this would help the application to a certain degree. And so that is one of the growing methods in acquiring new customers, or frankly speaking, basing your entire business off this particular line of an increasing population in this particular area. There are also several other opportunities, but for the most part, that's probably the most prominent one when it comes to the goal of the Singapore government's increasing the population. They also do want to get rich people to marry each other and have kids, but I don't think that's going to work very well. So we're not going to go too much into that law, and even that particular opportunity take years and years to materialize. So let's just focus on that one. So some of the threats is that, of course, firstly, quite a few people in the space already, and secondly, I don't think that a lot of us are very equipped to deal with, okay, like what if they buy their insurance locally, or what if their investment opportunities in their home countries is better. If they come from the US, you're going to have a pretty hard time because most of the US citizens are not eligible for, I'd say, 90-95% of the products here unless they have special conditions or they agree to pay for double taxes, which is kind of rare that you'll get to experience that. So some of the threats, there are obviously other consultants. They also have the convenience of, I would say that a lot of people who, if they are not looking for long-term commitments, that's also a bit tricky. So generally, when we are looking at the opportunity, as mentioned just now, what we will do or try to cover in this module as much as possible is to go over some of those threats and how you can overcome them, whether it comes to objection handling or what you can do or who you can work with in order to generate more business for yourself consistently.